day we are working with clients on their investments and managing the overall picture, right? It's not just about what you make, but it's also about what you keep.
That's right.
So, also just looking over your investments. If you need help with that, if you are, feeling uncomfortable about where things are going to be next year, how do you position yourself for the next year?
What will you do when your money works for you? Welcome to the TechGirl Financial podcast with your hosts, Victor and Kim Gaxiola. From the home office in California, here is Victor and Kim.
So many things we got to do before this year comes to a close. And I'm writing down my checklists. And what does Santa say? Checking it off twice?
Yeah. It's more than just the end of the year, too. It's the end of the decade, which is crazy. So
oh, my
10
gosh.
years. Yeah.
Never thought of that.
Well, I just got the Spotify Unwrapped or Wrapped. I think it's Spotify Wrapped, which shows you every year, what you've been listening to, your top artist, your top song. And what was really interesting, because it is the end of the decade, they actually went back. And so we've been subscribers. I didn't realize I'd been subscriber at Spotify since like 2015. So I got like 4 or 5 years worth of all my music preferences and, my top genre and all that. So the term that I really liked is they said I was genre fluid, which means I like all kinds of music.
You do. There is no discrimination on the music that you listen to.
No. Who do you think was my top artist, though, for the past year? It was a little surprising to me.
For the past year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was it the Italian band that we heard in Milan?
No. It was The Smiths.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So taking it back to the mid-80s.
Retro.
Yeah. But still good stuff. So which goes to show that good music stands the test of time.
It's just timeless, kind of like the Beatles.
That's true.
Although the Beatles were much more peppy than the Smiths.
Well, and the thing that's amazing about the Beatles is their staying power. Like
I know.
That people still continue and to discover and rediscover the full catalog of the Beatles. I mean, look at our kids.
Yeah.
Big fans.
Yeah.
And collecting the vinyl. I mean, they've been going to record stores, and if they see like a Beatles album or a Beatles, deep cut, they're buying it to add it to their collection.
Yeah, so true.
So this is the final podcast of the second season. And before we move on and go forward, we wanted to introduce you to a very special guest today who you'll likely to be seeing or hearing more of in the next year in 2020. We'd like to welcome Ava Silva to the podcast. So welcome, Ava.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Welcome. Yes, Ava is our intern from Santa Clara University. Woo. And apparently she's setting the curves in her math classes, so pretty smart.
Well, we only bring, brainiacs to join us as part of TechGirl Financial. So, Ava, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm a student at Santa Clara. I go to Levy School of Business there, and I'm undeclared business for right now, and I'm debating between marketing and finance.
Ooh, so somebody approves.
I know. So that's kind of like what I've been doing. I'm minoring in Spanish. I'm actually declaring that in the winter quarter, which starts after our winter break.
Que bueno.
I need to work on my accent, like pretty bad. So I'm taking a speaking class because I was talking to some teachers and they're like, your accent's pretty horrific. It's like, I agree. So that's where I'm kind of at school. Mm-hmm. And then I'm here on Tuesdays with you guys after class. Yeah. And I just got a job at Lululemon, and that's starting up this week. Wow. So I'll be wearing a lot more leggings.
All right. Right. And you're going to outfit the whole TechGirl Financial crew with leggings. So even I will take, because it's getting cold and I got to run. So
hopefully I'll get you some leggings, Victor.
We'll make sure to post that on the website, put it on social media. So you're doing this for the holidays, right? For picking up some extra money, but could lead to a longer gig.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see how much time I have because I'm taking 18 units next quarter, and full time is 15. So we'll see what happens, how those classes kind of end out, if I want to stay or not. But I get to stay until February, so I get to do a trial run with classes and see if they like me enough to keep me or not.
So she's going to come here on Tuesdays to relax, to do the work that she needs to do to just kind of get her mind off those 18 units.
Relax. There's no relaxing here.
There's no crying in baseball, and there's no relaxing at TechGirl Financial.
Not at all.
Well, we wanted to, so we talked about this being the second season, in conclusion, and, kind of going back to the full catalog, first season, second season of the podcast, that the second season really focused a lot on two main areas, which there is a connection here with Ava, and that is the Financial Professional Series, which was really looking and profiling different financial professionals who work with clients as it relates to making decisions about money. So we started with Janine, who was with Guild Mortgage, and talking about the lending, how you go about mortgage lending, how do you get a loan, the things to think about when it comes to needing to secure the money to purchase a home, which segued really nicely to Jenny, who was talking about what it takes to buy a home or real estate and some of the very creative solutions as it relates to purchasing properties here in the Bay Area, very specifically.
We got some great feedback from clients on the how to buy real estate in the Bay Area. So if that is something that is on your mind, listen to that podcast.
Then we followed, and this is where the connection, with Ava Silva on CPA and tax planning strategies, who was talking about things to do and consider when it comes to creating, your tax planning, the things to consider, which I think was a really important show. And then most recently in the month of December, we released with Barb, Pretlove of Pretlove Law, the estate planning conversation and the healthcare directives and the things that you need to do to follow your wishes while you're alive and then when you're no longer alive. So you pass on.
Yes, so we were busy this season.
Yeah, we were.
I know, and I mean, there's still so much to do. So, and I'm sure you're all feeling that way too. Like there is a lot to do before you end this year. So get out a pen and paper or dictate this or whatever you're doing, because if you're listening to this in the car, you can't do that. But the key word here is make your lists and check them off twice, because there are some things that can cause a lot of stress at the end of the year. But I find if it's on a list, I'm not going to stress about it.
Right. Well, and the other thing too about bringing in these four outstanding ladies to talk about their specific areas of expertise was the fact that it's very difficult for any one individual to do this on their own. And so you need to have these resources, which we depend on too, as additional resources and extension of the work that we do when it comes to financial planning and investment strategy design, in working with other financial professionals that have a much deeper dive and a much better emphasis in looking at their area of expertise.
Yes. So thinking about the end of the year and what I think about and discussing with our clients have to do with the things to check off of that list. Like, have you made your IRA or contribution for the year? Or have you maxed out your 401k? Should you be contributing to a Roth IRA? Should we get that in by year end? As well as charitable gift giving. It's always better to give highly appreciated stock away to those organizations that you like, as opposed to just writing a check to them, because then you can get rid of that realized gain. Mm-hmm. And let's see, what else? Taxes. This was one that my younger clients weren't fully aware of this, and I think it was helpful this year, was to be able to tell them you can get an approximation of what your tax bill is going to be before you file your taxes. Mm-hmm. So we had a couple of ours meet with their CPAs because they had a lot of taxable events happen this year, and it was really important that we figure out how much money they were going to owe before it's April 14th and we have to liquidate things. Mm-hmm. So really a good idea to work with your accountant and get those estimates already, which also brings us to what we are doing for some clients that have requested us. And this is to look at what their realized gains are in their accounts with us. Mm-hmm. And Keep in mind, this is not for an IRA or a Roth, which most money is, but if you have a taxable account or a trust, look into what your realized gains are going to be, so that you don't have a big surprise when you file your taxes as well. And sometimes we can look at those, and if there are big gains, we can look at perhaps if you have some losses in your portfolio as well, take those so that the tax bill isn't so big and offsets the gains. So another way we are working with clients on their investments and managing the overall picture, right? It's not just about what you make, but it's also about what you keep.
That's right.
So, also just looking over your investments. If you need help with that, if you are, feeling uncomfortable about where things are going to be next year, how do you position yourself for the next year? So those are a lot of things that I've thrown out there, but there is going to be a checklist on the show notes, and be sure to get a copy so you can, use that to check it off.
So we'll include the year-end financial checklist. We specifically look at 6 different aspects of your financial life to review before the calendar goes from 2019 to 2020. It's not a deep dive, and don't spend so much time looking at this checklist that you miss out on the treats and the fun stuff around the holidays. And then we'll also include a link to the end of the year money moves and things to say before saying goodbye to 2019. But there's another area too, which is important, and that is gifts, right? More than just gifts to each other, but the gifts to charities.
Yeah, gifts to charities, gifts to grandchildren, gifts to children, lots of ways you can give. And so that is a conversation that I like to have with clients at the end of the year. Because there are so many ways to give and so many resources to use, I think that a lot of times people aren't aware of it. And so that's where we come in handy.
And so to that end is something that Kim started a number of years ago, which I'm really happy that TechGirl Financial does, is to give gifts to some of the local charities and organizations that we support. And so, Kim, do you want to share a little bit about the ones that we're helping out?
Yeah, so these are pretty much the same list as last year and years past, because I like TechGirl Financial to be giving to organizations that I think all of our clients are impacted by. So, we all know somebody who has either survived or passed away that has had cancer. So that's a big one for me. Cancer Research Institute is who I give to, because they do a lot of cool work with immunotherapy treatments. And I think that's cutting edge. I think that's where things need to go in solving cancer problems. And so I like giving there. We also give to Second Harvest. That's more of a local in our community. We do have a big homeless problem here, and they need to eat. And so I like to give locally with Second Harvest. We even donate our time. We will be signing the family up, just so you know, Victor.
Okay.
To actually go work at Second Harvest again this
we did
season.
that last year. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was really neat.
Yeah, just putting these things together. And then it was nice to be there when the families came to pick it up. They were very appreciative of the fact that they were taking home, gallons of milk and fruits and vegetables. And
right. And if you're looking for something to do with your kids, I was trying to find that something that we could do as a family last year. And most organizations don't allow people under the age of 18 to actually volunteer. And so Second Harvest does allow under 18 volunteers, and that's why I like this one for us. So if you are looking to do something with children, there's opportunity there.
Yeah, there was multiple families last year that were doing that. And I think it's important just because you really do appreciate, how fortunate you are when there's these basic staples of life, bread, milk, the different things that were being given away, and to see the appreciation of these families as they were picking them up, and having our kids help be part of that process of packaging, those gift packages, was really impactful.
Yeah. So Wounded Warriors is another organization we give to help military veterans. And we do have clients who have children in the military. And so this is a big deal to us. And we thank everyone for their service in the military. And this is a way that we're paying back to those veterans that need it most.
Well, as you like to say, that freedom isn't free. And so this is a nice way, a great way to really recognize the efforts and the sacrifices that are being made by contributing to our soldiers.
Central Asia Institute is another organization I give to. We have a focus on helping women in technology. And I think all of these women can agree that educating women is very important. And so Central Asia Institute, I learned from the book, The 3 Cups of Tea. If you want a great book to read over the holidays, that is definitely an interesting one. And so this has to do with the organization that is building schools for girls in the Middle East, primarily in Afghanistan. And I do believe that peace comes from educating girls and prosperity as well.
I agree. I think it's a great organization, definitely a very inspirational message in an area of the world that could use more support, especially when it comes to education of girls.
Last organization is a new one, and that for us this year, and that's Community Solutions. I went through the Morgan Hill Leadership class, and we had someone there talking about Community Solutions, and we know her, and it was funny because after listening to her, I'm like, why aren't we giving to this organization? And they do a lot of different things, but one of the areas, again, that was of interest to me were women at risk and their children. And so I wanted to give this year to that cause.
Yeah, no, it's I remember when I went through the program as well with leadership, learning a little bit more about Community Solutions and just the work that they're doing in our community. Unless you get involved or unless you know more about it, you don't realize exactly how there are segments of our community that are having a hard time. And so it's great to have an organization like this that helps them out.
Absolutely. So I think these organizations, we've got some international, national, and local contributions going to help all over the world.
Yeah. So those are the organizations that TechGirl Financial will continue to support during the holiday season. Ava, is there any organizations that you like to support or that you're passionate about?
I don't really have a lot of money to be donating, to be really honest.
The Ava Silva Fund?
Understandable.
But, in my senior year of high school, we had like a California Scholarship Federation. And using the school's money, I kind of made this Christmas party for the members, and we boxed up things to go to Mexico, like toiletries along with some toys. And it was kids age like 4 to 17.
Nice.
And so that got sent down, and that was super great. That was super fun. I think we did something like 150 boxes.
Whoa.
That's great.
That's something we kind of carried on. Unfortunately, I don't get to do it this year because no longer high school, but that was always something I did.
Well, you're going to be carrying 18 units. I think the charity they need to work on is Ava Silva.
True. Donate now. Private school is expensive.
Right. And I mean, this is one of the things I enjoy working with Cambridge is every year when we go to our annual conference, they do an auction for a local charity as well as a 5K run. And this year I thought their organization was great. I can't remember the name of the organization, but helping homeless teenagers get off the streets. And so what an amazing program that was. And I know we all felt good contributing there because it's funny, we end up giving a lot of money.
Oh, as an organization, Cambridge does, and all the advisors who attend the event with the silent auction and all the different charitable contributions and the 5K that they run. What's always the best part about that is when they bring the organizer or the person who's basically the lead of that organization come up on stage and they hand them the big check, the big, huge super check. And they're always like floored by the amount. I think we were floored. Like each year it seems to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, these are numbers, I believe, like 45, 55. I want to say it was around 70,000, the contribution this year.
Sounds about right.
And think about this. This is like this organization hitting the lottery, because it's not like we're going to give on an annual basis. It's just, oh, by the way, we did this conference here and your charity won. We thought it was the most meaningful to give to. And so I love that. I mean, it's just a great thing.
Yeah, so we really want to send out a shout out to Cambridge and their event planning team and the whole organization that puts together this conference and then has had the foresight of creating a charitable aspect to the actual event and aligning themselves with something local in the host city. So in this case, Denver. So next year will be in Orlando. So it'll be interesting to see which of the charities they choose.
Right. And that brings up something that we are looking at for next year. It's so funny because you mentioned, Victor, that this is the end of a decade. Mm-hmm. And I look back and I think, okay, 2010 was the year we left Wells Fargo Advisors.
That's right. We went independent in October of 2010, and so 2020 marks 10 years of independence.
Right, and so we are looking at what that means to TechGirl Financial. It's definitely a celebration we want to honor next year, and so I think we are looking to have an organization that we will be contributing to as well. For that event.
So we've got a full year of 2020 celebration of 10 years of independence. So you'll be seeing and hearing a lot more about that as we approach the new year. But speaking of the new year, Kim, do you have any resolutions?
I knew you were going to ask me about New Year's resolutions. And the truth is, it takes me a little while to commit. Mm-hmm. And January is still a couple weeks away. So stay tuned in January and maybe I'll reveal them then. I do have a list of things I'm thinking about, but haven't pinned them down yet.
You're really big on lists right now. Checklist and resolution list and such. So we'll have to put it online.
My resolutions
for
all to see. Then I'm really going to be accountable to them.
No. I was going to say, I think your resolution should be less lists in 2020.
I know, right?
Yeah. How about you, Ava? Do you have any resolution? Think of anything to change for next year? Maybe less units in the semester?
We'll see. I haven't regretted it yet because it hasn't started, but definitely going to bed earlier. I used to go to bed at like 9:30 every night in high school. I was early, and now I'm going to bed at like 1 a.m. So
welcome to college.
I know. I didn't think it would actually happen. So I guess I'm going to try to set a bedtime of 11 and see if I can get some more sleep.
That's good. Get 8 hours if you can. Right? That's good.
Yeah, that is.
I haven't given much thought to my own, but they always seem to be the same every year. Just try to be more present, try to get outdoors more.
Lose some weight.
Lose weight. More?
Just a little bit more.
What are you talking about?
Oh, well, that's my personal goal. I'm sorry.
I thought you were talking about me. Lose some weight. I was like, oh, no. Maybe it's a good thing it's a podcast and not video. So now I'm sitting here with all these weight issues.
Sorry.
I thought you were talking about me.
Me too.
Right? The way she said it, it wasn't like...
Oh, I was like, this is going to be in a fight pretty soon.
No, I was just saying in general. Lose some weight is always on that list.
Well, it's always on the list. All right. So I guess I got to hit the treadmill then this winter. So before we end the second season of our podcast, I thought I'd take a little opportunity to show some gratitude, Kim. Why don't we do some shout-outs?
That's true. And if it wasn't for Jenny, who had highlighted that in our professional series, I really like that idea of thanking all the people that have helped us this year. I want to shout out to our women's networking group.
Absolutely.
And say this was something I wanted to start up this year in 2019. And boy, I thought that was going to be a challenge because it was like hurting herding sheep, trying to get everybody in the same room at the same time. But these women have all committed to the cause, and we are really gelling. And I really look forward to those Tuesdays when we meet once a month. And I am thankful to have such great women in my life because we all learn from each other.
Yeah, it's been really great. They've all been on the podcast and profiling their level of expertise. Thank you, Kim, for letting me be part of this women's group meeting once a month, having lunch and getting to know each other a little bit better, as well as the work that they do for the clients that they serve. So that's been great. I'd personally like to do a shout out to Cambridge's compliance department. Now, that may sound really strange for people who are unfamiliar with working with the compliance department, but they've been so good and supportive of this podcast. And so when I came back to the business about a year ago, I knew I wanted to do a podcast. And so it was really music to my ears that this organization did support it to allow us to share this very valuable information in a medium that people love. And so thank you so much for reviewing the shows. Thank you so much for providing that support. And we're going to keep doing it. So hope they enjoy listening to it.
Right. And thank you to our listeners and our clients. You are an extension of family and friends.
Yeah, so we really wish you all a very happy holiday season and all the best in 2020. And I also, finally, would like to send out a shout out and a thank you to Ava for joining TechGirl Financial and being part of our organization. And she'll be helping us quite a bit over the course of the next year and the new year, so you'll get to know her a little better. And then in Kentucky, we wanted to send out a very special shout out to Christina.
Thank you, Christina. Oh my gosh, you are so great at helping out with everything, really. There isn't anything you don't know how to do. And I see the relationships that you're having with the clients, and it is great to see that forming. And you're just a great friend too. So I really enjoy our conversations, whether they're about business or personal things.
Right.
I am really thankful to have you.
Yeah, and I'm thankful that when Kim was in Kentucky, you showed her how to make a good mint julep, or at least where to find all the right ingredients for one.
Absolutely.
So that'll be fun. So before we finish the podcast, we have 3 questions that we always do for all our guests. So Ava, you've got a couple questions coming your way. So number 1, what would be a favorite vacation destination?
I think my mom said this, that San Diego is always so pretty, but I'll switch it up. If I could get myself on a plane, I would go to Spain.
Oh,
I've
nice.
always wanted to go there. I want to speak the language. I want to learn about the culture.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing holding me back is I'm terrified of flying.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That makes it tough.
It's pretty tough, but I'm going to get there one day. I'm determined. I'll get myself on a plane one way or another.
Yeah, just Benadryl and just knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Or tequila.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Kim actually studied abroad in Salamanca in Spain.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was really fun.
Yeah. Food's good, culture, amazing architecture, art, food, the whole thing is just awesome. So
Yeah.
hopefully you can make that happen. So San Diego and then Spain.
Yeah, hopefully. That's the plan. Hopefully. We'll see what happens.
So now, when you were young, did you watch the Cheetah Girls?
Yeah, I did actually. High School Musical, the whole bit, the whole Disney Channel movie bit. Yeah.
Yeah, because remember they went to Spain?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
I was pretty young, but I'll have to go back and reference that for sure.
I was thinking, yeah, because I remember watching it and being like, oh, I want to go back to Spain.
The Cheetah Girls. Nice. So the second question, is there any show that you love binge watching or would recommend?
Yeah, I have 2. A go-to's The Office. If you ever need a laugh, just put on that
Yep.
quick 20-minute episode. I've been binging Riverdale also on Netflix.
That's the 80s show, isn't it?
Yeah, it takes place in like the 50s or something. There's a speakeasy now in it.
Really?
Yeah, well, a non-alcoholic speakeasy. So I don't know why they call it that.
It's based on the Archie comics.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different show. I have heard a lot of people watching that one though.
It's pretty good. It's like a suspense mystery type show of high school students,
Cool.
and yeah, I get totally into it. But if you need a quick like relaxer, then do The Office, because you get way too involved in Riverdale, and each episode's almost an hour long.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you need that. You need one that's more intense or intriguing, but then you need the like no-brainer, just laugh factor.
Yeah,
sometimes.
good balance for sure.
Yeah, that is good.
Well, it's interesting. If you like The Office so much and you come here once a week, I wonder if you see us and start saying, "Oh, it's very true to life." Is she Michael Scott or am I?
Neither yet. I haven't felt violated, so I'm gonna say neither.
As long as I'm not Dwight. As long as I'm not Dwight. I'm
That's
good.
funny.
Yeah. So that's fun. And then the final question is, what app do you have on your smartphone you couldn't live without?
Spotify.
All right.
Ah,
Good answer.
she's the music
Yeah,
one.
I've been on it since 2015 also. So I had like your decade, or I guess half decade.
Yeah.
And it went from like middle school for me all the way to now, and I went from like 5 Seconds of Summer and One Direction all the way to Morgan Wallen and Blake Shelton and all the good country people that I love.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
quite a change. And I was not genre fluid. It was country, killing it by like my graph was a spike of country and everything else was practically
Really?
That's
flatlined.
funny.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place. Yeah.
I know. That is funny. So you saw a progression as you matured.
Yeah, pretty much. I went from like, I guess the stereotypical teenage girl to country, and my suite mates at school, they get so mad when I play country music. They're like, "You are literally distracting us with your terrible music." I'm like, "I'm so sorry that I'm distracting you, but I'm unapologetically a country girl."
To each
Wow.
their own. And you stick by it, because if that's what you love, that's what gets you going. So
True.
yeah, it's good to go.
All right.
So once again, this is the TechGirl Financial podcast. We want to thank you all for listening and for being a part of this journey. We'll look forward to coming back in season 3 in 2020 with some new material. We've got some exciting things in mind. But as always, we look for your feedback to help us when it comes to developing the content. So if you have any comments, questions, or any ideas for future shows, please reach out to me at victor@techgirlfinancial.com. And also on Twitter, as we remind everybody at the end of every show, you can go to hashtag AskTGF for any suggestions or recommendations.
That's right. Well, thank you, Victor. I'm going to give a little shout out to you for creating this podcast. And I was just telling somebody it is an art, not a science, to create one of these and edit it. I know there's a lot of work that goes into it, but I'm really excited to be sharing information with everyone this way. And I really just want to wish everyone with our last podcast a wonderful year end. A Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you are celebrating. I hope that it is warm, bright, and cheery.
Yes, I would agree. And thank you, Kim, for coming up with what I think is a great tagline, which really encompasses what it is that we do here at TechGirl Financial, and that is, what would you do
When your money works for you.
We'll see you in 2020.
See you later. Happy New Year.
If you have questions, comments, or suggestions for future shows, please send an email to victor@techgirlfinancial.com or join the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag AskTGF. We also encourage you to follow us on the TechGirl Financial page on Facebook and connect with us on LinkedIn.
Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, a registered investment advisor. TechGirl Financial and Cambridge Investment Research, Inc. are not affiliated companies.
Screw.